Hello everybody, this is Calcos here. Welcome to the first part of a several-part tutorial series on Soul Calibur 6. Today, I'm actually really enjoying this game. I think it's lacking in certain areas, but gameplay-wise, I think this is the best Soul Calibur since 2. They've added many quality-of-life systems, such as Reversal Edge and Soul Charge, which I think do a lot to upset the traditional meta of Soul Calibur, and I think they're also very important for learning the game. So, the first episode I'm going to do is I'm going to explain, move properties, basically. I'm going to explain what each move property is, and I'm going to explain, how they work. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to here. Just a little side note, when you go into training and you learn moves and stuff like that, make sure you set the dummy to stand normal here, and then, where is it? Stand guard all. So the number 2 option says guard after first hit, which sounds right, but this also lies. This straight up lies. So make sure you do this. Stand guard all. This is like the true check to see if the string works kind of thing. Setting Ukemi to back is also a good idea. And then setting 1P to all, Soul Charge to always max, and then Guard Crush to no Guard Crushes, unless you want to test Guard Crush. Regardless, here's how the moves work. You have 3 attack buttons. You have A, B, and K, or horizontal, vertical, and kick. Now, the reason why I'm doing this instead of going into other things is because I feel like a lot of people that play Soul Calibur, you know, there's no real rhyme and reason behind what they're doing. A lot of the times, people just pick up Soul Calibur and they just start hitting buttons all the time, and it's like, if you want to learn the game, you know, and a lot of the times people get upset because players that are much better at them at conventions or other meetups and stuff like that beat them up. Man, the number one thing that you can do to improve at Soul Calibur and other fighting games in general is just to learn moves, you know? Just learn how to perform each move, learn what they do. You don't need to know advanced strategies, you don't need to know how to do combos, just learn the moves, right? And that will help you out so much. So that's why I'm making this video and starting here rather than later on. Now, first things first, I want to explain the notation. The notation in Soul Calibur is very similar to Anime Fighter, so if you come from there, going into Soul Calibur and reading combos and other move lists and stuff like that is not that hard. But if you come from something like Smash or Street Fighter or Tekken, this might be a little unfamiliar. So moves are listed, vertical attacks like this, vertical attacks are A. Horizontal attacks are A, excuse me. Verticals are B, and kicks are K. But the move list does list it like that, so it's not that hard to get used to. The hard part might be how directions work. So if you're at a PC watching this, look at your keyboard and look at the numpad. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, from left to right, going from, in ascending. So, ascending, so it starts at the bottom, goes at the top. The D-pad corresponds to different directions. So when I say 4, I mean back. When I say 6, I mean forward. 8 is up, 2 is down, and 1, 3, 7, and 9 are the diagonal directions. So something, for example, like 4A would be that. Something like 3B would be that. Something like 8K would be that. And something like, for example, a quarter circle forward B, which is that, would be notated as 236B. So that's how notation works in this game. Now, horizontal attacks. We'll start with those. Horizontal attacks are done by pressing A, not the A button, but A in the move list. And typically, they are either high, like something like this, or they are low, meaning that almost all vertical attacks can be ducked. Now, there are some, horizontal, excuse me. Now, there are some horizontals that are mid, such as this. You know, this is a mid horizontal. But usually, these horizontals lack range. And I'll show you. Like, from here, this one's kind of hard because it advances Raphael forward, but you'll see there it kind of whiffed at that range. See? Whereas something like this, for example, see how much range that is? It hit from there, whereas this move did not. So, But of course, the reason why is because this is a mid, and it stops sidestepping and ducking as well. Whereas something like this is really good at stopping sidestepping, but it's a high, so it can be ducked. And punished in that sense. But of course, the purpose of horizontals, excuse me, is to stop sidestepping. That's the whole point. If you find someone is sidestepping a lot, which people do against Raphael, which is my main because his verticals aren't especially great, you know, you just do a vertical and it sweeps the area and it stops people from sidestepping. Now, verticals are a completely different story, such as like verticals like that, you know, they go in a straight line. So, a vertical can be sidestepped by using the 8-way run. And, I'll show you what I mean by having, Grow over here do something like this, for example. Attack, after guard, he'll do a down forward B, right? I can sidestep that. No problem. But what verticals do is they boast really good range, and they tend to be much safer on block than the verticals. So characters with really good verticals, like for example Raphael, tend to be very good at pressuring on block, which Raphael is in most circumstances. But of course Raphael has to work really hard to stop someone from sidestepping because his verticals, his horizontals, excuse me, are not that great. He's got some good ones, you know. Like that is a rather good one. It sweeps very well. These are pretty good. That one is a really good vertical because it has a built-in evasive property. You see the little sidestep he does. And then there are kicks. Kicks are utility moves that do a little bit of everything. They can be vertical, you know. Or they can be vertical like this, you know, for example. That. Stuff like that. Those are all vertical. They can be sidestepped. Or they can be horizontal. Something like that. Or that, you know? And as you'll notice, like, you know, the horizontal moves are either high or low for the most part. And the vertical moves tend to be mids. So that's ABK. You also have your multi-button attacks. Like that's A plus B, for example. And that's back A plus B. You've also got forward, you've got 6-6 A plus B, excuse me. You've got, you know, 4-4 A plus B. You also have BK, which in Raphael's case is a special parry state. But you also have like back, 6-6 BK, something like that. You know, you have multi-button attacks, which do different things based on the character. The only thing that's universal is 5 A plus B, which is like pressing no direction, and A plus B. That is always a break attack. Always. For every character, that's a break attack. It's universal. Now, what is a break attack? I'm glad you asked. So, break attacks are kind of special, and they're rather nice. So, we'll do a stand guard all. So you'll notice, right, he's blocking absolutely everything, regardless of, like, if it's a low or whatever, he's blocking everything. But here's a break attack. Break attacks give you tons of safety on guard crush, right? So let's have Grow here do a move after blocking something. So, let's have him follow up with something rather quick, like BB. See that? I'm able to beat it. Even though he blocked the attack, which technically he should be able to, you know, attack me after my move, he can't. Like, he just straight up cannot do it. Even with his fastest move, he can't. And that's because I have the advantage after he blocks a break attack. You'll also hear people call this a guard crush because that's the traditional name of these moves, but the game calls it break attack. I'll probably switch between break attack and guard crush, but I want you guys to know what both of those mean. Now, break attacks here also have another purpose, and I'll show you what they are. So I'm going to have Grow here guard impact my moves. So that's what a guard impact looks like. Don't worry, I'll go over it in a future video. But if you'll notice, he's guard impacting everything that I do, right? Now, again, this is universal with A plus B. If you try to guard impact a break attack, you get a lethal hit, no matter what the break attack is. You'll go right through it. He can guard impact. You know, he can still guard impact me. But, you know, it's not going to work against a break attack because that's what it's built for. And break attacks can also lead into some pretty nasty damage, right? Like, that's just a basic 2-hit combo with Raphael after a lethal hit A plus B. But it still does 73 damage, which for Raphael is pretty good. And if I'm close up, I can even get more. Right? 75 now. And that's basic, too. I don't know if there's a full combo after a lethal hit A plus B. But, you know, that's how you beat guard impact, and that's what break attacks do. Break attacks are very valuable because they upset the rules of the game. So, it's the same thing with something like an unblockable attack. Like that. You see that? He's trying to guard impact, but he can't. He just can't. It's impossible. You can't guard impact an unblockable attack. Now, the same thing works for reversal edge as well. So if he tries to do a reversal edge, I'm actually going to make him do a button hold, excuse me. Just so it lasts longer. Oh, sorry. Oh. Okay, I'm gonna have him whip it first. I thought he would do it. See that? You see that? It also works there. So, it's a bit difficult because I need to time it. But unblockable attacks can also go through it. So, reversal edge and guard impact are similar in that regard. Because both of them are meant to parry moves. So I'm gonna have him stop doing that shit for right now. What else am I thinking of? Let me look in the move list. I think there's other things that I need to remember. Okay, yeah. There's a legend here, which will tell you what each of the symbols mean. Now, SS, for example, is special stance. It means there are certain moves that can go into a stance. Like, for example, Raphael's forward, sorry, not forward, 6BB. If you hold the last B, you can go into preparation, which is that stance right there. If you press 6B and then hit back, you can go into area guard, which is another one of Raphael's special stances. And like I've mentioned before, he's got dedicated parry buttons attached to B plus K. And you can find out about other things just by looking at, you know, the legend right here. If you press triangle or Y, again, depending on what controller you're using, you get the legend, so you can look through the move list and know exactly what each thing means. But the last thing I want to mention is something that is very, 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 very important and is exclusive to Soul Calibur 6. This did not exist in previous Soul Caliburs, but this is a new mechanic that they added. It's called Lethal Hit. Lethal Hit occurs when you fulfill specific conditions for specific moves. Like, for example, Violent Blood. If you look at the description, which is right here, you know, you can see that it triggers after landing it 4 times. So this is what it looks like. Right? That's what the lethal hit means. And so, I'm going to reproduce it now. There's 1, 2, 3. There's the lethal hit. Now, why is this important? Because lethal hits not only do a lot of damage, but in most cases, it will lead to combos. And I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm going to trigger that lethal hit again. Alright, let me do it. That one didn't work. I expected it to. Well, this one worked. Maybe, but that's really not what I'm looking for. Alright, we'll do Deadly Dirge then. So, Deadly Dirge is his 4-6B, and it's triggered by sidestepping a vertical attack, or if a vertical attack whiffs. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the dummy do a, I'm going to have him block, and then do a down forward B, which will whiff if I sidestep. You see that? It's too slow to counter that. So I can sidestep it if I think he's going to do a move that's too slow. So here's what happens if I sidestep and then do 4-6B. There's the lethal hit. Now what's important about this, again, is you'll get guaranteed damage or combos. So you can score some good damage off of these lethal hits. See that? No problem. So, as a matter of fact, just one more thing before I move on and end the video. Lethal hits and looking through the move list and looking to see what the conditions are for lethal hits is the perfect way to decide which character or characters you want to work on. Because the lethal hit move list will give you an idea of how the character is supposed to work. For example, Raphael actually has a lot of lethal hit moves. Like, a lot of lethal hit moves. But a lot of them have one thing in common, specifically his 4-6 moves. 4-6A, 4-6B, and 4-6K. All of these are triggered when an opponent whiffs a specific move. For example, back forward A triggers when they whiff a horizontal. Back forward B triggers when they whiff a vertical. And back forward K whiff lethal hits when they whiff a kick. See that? And all of these, this gives you an idea of what Raphael is all about, because each character is different in how they activate their lethal hits. Raphael, after looking at this and noticing the pattern, you can tell that Raphael is a character that is evasive. He is built very specifically to get around moves, especially since, you know, his Shadow Step, which is that from Preparation, that is built to go under horizontals, and I'll even show you that right here. I'll have him guard all and then attack using AA. See? Shadow Step. Now you can go into it manually by pressing down after preparation, but it'll also do it automatically if you're in prep while they do vertical moves. Or horizontals, excuse me. And from then, you can actually counterattack as well. Excuse me. So, that'll give you an idea of what Raphael is all about, by looking at the lethal hits combined with his regular moveset. It will tell you exactly what your character of choice is. Yeah, that's right. There's this one, which also lethal hits if they miss a break attack or unblockable. So against Raphael, you know, if you're playing against a good Raphael, you can't whiff shit. You cannot whiff moves. He will punish you. So that's what Raphael is all about. So that's, I really do think that's the best way to choose your character based on playstyle, not necessarily on aesthetics, of course. Anyway, that's a basics tutorial for Soul Calibur 6. The next video that I'm going to do is for combos. And I feel like it's important to discuss combos because a lot of the times what players think is a combo is not actually a combo. So I'm going to teach you what is a combo and what isn't a combo in the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.